Good evening, welcome to the September 7th, 2021 meeting of Glens Planning Board. We will begin this evening with the discussion and approval of the minutes from the August 3rd, 2021 Planning Board meeting. Comments?
No comments.
No comment.
No comments.
I read through and have no comments.
No comment.
Therefore, I'll make most planning board hereby approves the minutes of the August 3rd, 2021 meeting as submitted.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, under new business, sign review, Nicholas Ketter, contract vendee of Patent Property Management LLC, owner of section 302.20, block 27, lot 5, commonly known as 274 Glens Street, seeking approval for a building mounted sign at this location. Pursuant to City Code, Chapter 180, Section 180-16, this application seeks clarity from the sign review board. And you are
Hello, I'm Nick Ketter.
Mr. Ketter, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Anything that you care to add or discuss prior to our review?
Yeah, I mean, we're new business to the downtown area. We're super excited to be in the downtown area and, really excited about the prospect of this sign.
Excellent. Are there any members of the public that care to comment on this application? Okay, thank you. That said, we'll begin with our architectural consultant, Mr. Brown.
As I noted in my report to the board, the applicant's proposed sign is similar to that was approved by the board for Davidson's Restaurant quite a number of years ago. Both buildings are listed historic sites and in the Three Squares Historic District. In consideration of its location in a historic setting, I recommend that the board that one, the proposed contemporary lettering font be changed to a more standard or historic character, and two, the intensity and color of the LED sign lettering be designed to prevent offensive contrast and glare to the public.
Very good, thank you. The city engineer had no comments regarding this application. And so we will begin with planning board members. Mr. Green.
In the drawing, it doesn't show how high that's got to be.
Can you speak, all speak into the mic so you can hear? Please.
I'm not sure if that we had attached.
But they don't show the distance, the height,
Oh,
I believe, I'm not sure, but this thing goes a little funky, but 9 feet, if I remember right. You gotta be 9 feet high.
Yes, you have to be at least 9 feet above the wall, unless it varies.
It's gotta be 9 feet, right, Chris?
It depends on where you read, yes, it has to be 9 feet, at least 9 feet, but it also, on 184B, no part of the projected sign can be installed less than 14 feet above a driveway or less than 9 feet above a walkway. So it has to be above 9 feet, but it can't go above the first story.
yeah, and what we're proposing is essentially having the bottom of that sign. There's an existing camera that's right on the corner there that the building owner uses for security, and it would go just above that camera.
Do you know what the footage is of that?
I do not have that handy. I certainly could provide it.
Yeah, code says something like that.
Elevation is 14 feet.
met everything, Chris's office would just issue the permit.
It's within the square footage signs, everything is fine, but because it's a vertical sign instead of a horizontal sign, you only have a slight window which you can put a sign according to the code.
So it requires a variance.
Yes.
Is there any reason you can't reconfigure that sign to Dan Brown's comments? Is the lettering to,
So
is
the,
that a company logo or?
yeah, so that's our logo. That's our company logo, which is a little bit more of a modern look, admittedly. You know, it certainly respect the comment that, you know, want to maintain the historical nature, but it would kind of be in direct, I guess, it wouldn't be what our company is. It would, you know, we would have to basically do like more of a traditional letter, which wouldn't be as, you know, ideal for us.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Hall?
I'm fine with the lettering, the way it is. I understand your signs. I've seen the ones that you have out. They're kind of like a triangle
Yes.
sign, and they are significantly different than most real estate signs, I would say. I think it's kind of a unique thing. I don't see this as being a huge thing that's sticking way out from the building. So I think I'm fine with the lettering. I think it falls in conjunction with the rest of your, the rest of your branding. And honestly, I don't know that this is significantly different than what we did at Davidson Brothers. I mean, Davidson's is a neon sign that's got different style lettering, and this is internally lit, and it's a black box with just the letters cut out.
That's correct, yes.
And that's a white,
Yeah, so it's a black Dibond front, and then there'll be some acrylic that'll actually push through, and then we'll put some vinyl on the top. So the actual light will be a constant, light that will be very low.
But it's white.
But it's white, yes.
It's white light on a black background.
Correct.
Okay. So, I mean, honestly, I don't see it being terribly intrusive. My question, is it gonna be lit constantly, or is there an on-off time?
Yeah, so we would ideally have it just lit up for the evening hours.
And then shut off?
And then shut off during the day, yeah.
At say 11 o'clock. I don't remember. I know that we had something with Davidson's where we wanted it turned off at a certain period. I think we said like from 11 o'clock at night or 12 o'clock at night until,
Sure.
the next day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm fine with the layout of it. I don't think it's at all intrusive, and the lettering cut, I think is fine. I think it'll be okay with that building. It's a little more of a modern. Chris has updated that building and made it a little more modern. So I think I'm okay with it the way it is.
Thank you.
Yep. That's all.
I feel like everyone else has covered any of the comments or questions I have. I'm good.
Ms. Andrews?
Yeah, the things have been covered, the possibility of a historical nature and the height from the ground, those were two issues that were. Okay.
So the lighting intensity is fairly low. In other words, to Mr. Brown's statement, the intensity and color, the lettering should be designed to prevent offensive contrast and glare in the public. So this,
Yeah, it's no different than any standard light box sign. It's just going to be a constant low intensity LED.
and it'll be off at 11 p.m.
We can certainly adhere to that, yes.
Okay.
Move that in your resolution. If
Yep.
you're intending to make that.
Yes, it is. I agree. Yeah, that'll be in there. Okay, so
Will it be able to be read during the daylight hours?
Red in the sense of like you'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the acrylic will actually push through, so it'll actually give it a little bit of a 3D look, almost like offset off of the sign, but it'll all just be within the one light box. So yeah, it'll certainly be able to be seen during the day.
I thought it was going to be the color red.
Right, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, no, I just
Will you be
wondered-
able to read it?
Would it still be legible?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it'll
We'll still know
definitely.
you're there.
It's going to look really sharp. The guy who's going to do it is Ed Osberg with Design Function. He's done a lot of downtown signs. He just recently helped out with the Charles Theater. He did some signage in there, so he does really great work.
Okay. It's, I'll make a motion to Glens Falls Planning Board, recommend the board assign review, approve the application of Nicholas Ketter, contract MD of Patent Property Management LLC, for the premises at 274 Glen Street, as presented at the meeting of 7 September 2021, with the following conditions that the sign is turned off at 11 p.m. and that the lighting intensity is low, it's not at home.
It's gotta be at least 9 feet above the sidewalk.
Okay, include that, I believe it is. So that the light, is not offensive contrast and glare to the public. So, is there anything else that I missed there?
I don't believe so. We talked about the height, we talked about the lettering, we talked about the intensity, Need a second?
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Pettit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, man.
Okay. The next item is site plan review 21-0039. Paul Cat LLC, contract vendor of 485 Glen Street. LLC, owner of tax map, section 302.16, block 2, lot 16, county known as 45 Glen Street, is seeking approval for a home occupation bakery at this location. Pursuant to City Code, Chapter 220, Section 220-15B, Part 8, Subpart 8. This application requires planning board review and approval. And would you state your name in relation to the application, please?
Yes, my name is Holly Vegas. Catherine Rose.
And your owners?
We're partners, yes.
Very good, thank you. Is there anything you care to discuss or? Presentation?
I think that we tried to provide you with all the details you needed in the application, so I'm not going to go through all that for you. But we've been in Glens Falls for 22 years with an online bakery at 146 Warren Street. Two years. Yeah, I'm sorry, yes, 2 years. So next month. So we are now looking to purchase the property at 485 Glen and move up there and continue our operations as a home bakery. Catherine and her family will be occupying the house, so the house will go back to being a house rather than professional offices. And essentially all we really need is a kitchen. To complete that. We do have a temporary kitchen, but I mean a full kitchen with all the proper appliances and stuff like that. This is a great location for us. We think that, there's been some discussion about being concerned about extra traffic in the area, but there were 3 professional offices and a quilt shop there, so we don't expect to have additional traffic. In fact, we probably will have less, although it would be great to have that much traffic. We're certainly at a busy light, so this is a great opportunity for us, and we're really looking forward to it, moving forward with this plan.
Are there any members of the public that care to comment on this application? If not, we'll proceed with our architectural consultant, Mr. Brown.
My only question about the application is, in reading the allowed uses in CP zones, whether commercial food preparation and sale, whatever, is an allowed use in that zone. And if so, if I'm reading it correctly, this is an online business.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to be selling to the public out of your building or serving people out of your building.
At this time, we are not looking to be commercial, we are looking to be a straight home bakery,
Yeah.
to be able to do wholesale to restaurants and coffee shops. We have pickups, you know, people will come and do pickups,
Yeah.
but we normally bring it out to them.
Yeah.
So we don't have an intention of having the public really coming in much other than to do a pickup. If we do a class, that would be different. We're looking at restaurateurs who need to know how to keep gluten and non-gluten foods separate.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a couple people that would be coming in, but again, it wouldn't be for commercial food.
Yeah.
If we want to do that in the future, we'd have to come get a variance.
Yeah.
And we do understand that to have a commercial kitchen would require a Department of Health approval, and we're
Yeah.
just not prepared for that level of everything. I mean, the expenditures, the investment, the everything. So presuming this all goes well, we will be back to discuss that option with you all at a later time. But this is strictly home bakery. We have a website we've been using for 2 years. The COVID has been I'm sure it's been horrible for other people, but it's been really great for us because people have found us. We're at the top of the Google list, and they order quickly, and then we deliver. It's baked to order.
I certainly wouldn't have a problem with people picking up and so forth. There's a decent sized parking lot there.
I think we have over 20 slots.
Yeah.
And it goes from Sanford around to Glen, or Glen around Sanford, so there's plenty of ingress and egress easily without messing up that traffic light.
Yeah, it's just my opinion that the board shouldn't open the door to a cafe or restaurant type of business where the public is coming and going and so forth. That would be an entirely different nature.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's start over, let's see, city engineer had no comments regarding this applications. Let's start with Ms. Andrews.
Yeah. You're a welcome addition to the community. I've seen your sign. I drive by it every day on Warren Street. I think it'd be a great move. I have no comments though.
Thank you so much.
I have no questions or comments. I think it's a good spot.
Thank you. Mr. Hall.
I don't have any real major comments. The issues that I looked at was the traffic pattern, and as you said, you've got ingress and egress from both sides. I know when the quilt shop was there and the heating and cooling company was there, they certainly had a lot more turnover than, and of course the doctor's office that was in there had a fair amount of turnover as well. And I know it was an occupied building when I think it was a podiatrist maybe.
Yes, sir.
Was in there. So I know it was occupied then, and then it slowly, after he came out of that, I think there was an art gallery there for a while as well.
He had an art gallery in his
Yeah.
doctor's office,
Yeah,
yes.
so it's been a bunch
Yes.
of stuff over the years, and it, you know, I think.
We're happy to be more eclectic along with everything else that's gone there.
Sure, sure. And again, I think that, you know, looking at your floor plan, the items that you're asking for is not significant. I mean, you're talking about putting a door where there was a window and utilization of the existing stuff that's pretty much already there. So really, I don't see an issue with any of that. And as you said, this is strictly people make the orders, you make the stuff to order. It's not like you're making making, you know, a million loaves of bread a day,
No.
and having big tractor trailer trucks. That was my only question is your deliveries come on like a city tractor or a city truck?
Well, right now, honestly, we go and get our own.
You go and get all your,
inventory.
Yeah.
you don't really have deliveries.
And if we did, my guess is it would be a small truck.
Yeah.
You know, we have flowers and things like that,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be out, anything that would be, you know, a tractor trailer.
Okay, so you-
At that point, we're in a manufacturing plant, and I'm happy to come back again
Right.
and get that
Right,
variance.
if your business takes off that much, you'd be more than happy to come back.
Yes, sir.
I can imagine. So really, those were the things that I was looking at, and I don't really see a real issue with it. I think it's a good use of the property.
Yeah, we're very excited. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mr. Green?
I agree. I think you're doing a good service for a lot of people, making it needed in this community, and, you know, good luck.
Thank you.
I have no,
My only comments would be more directed to the applicants, just that, well, the board can grant the home occupation if they see fit. If you look at section 220-29, there's a list of parameters for how you do the home occupation. And so that's regardless of granting the request, you just know that there's some restrictions about where you can operate, and just look at that section.
We actually have, and we wanted to make sure that, because we're coming out of the GC1, we wanted to be sure that we fit the bill for the CP. And we've actually spoken to our attorney about it to make sure that this made zoning sense. So we're aware that there's just a couple of nuances, and we're self-correcting.
Yeah, so you alluded to it earlier that if you go beyond those, you need to go to the zoning board for a variance.
Oh, we're very aware.
And I think you're going to be easier than the Department of Health. So,
So you don't even have to put that in your resolution because it's already part of the.
Right.
city.
yeah, regarding
The 225.
Okay. That said, we need a motion. Make a motion to unclose the planning board after this board of site plan review hereby grants site plan approval the project identified as Cat LLC located at 45 Glens Street as presented at the meeting of 7 September 2021. With, no additional comments or conditions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
thank you. We brought you a little present, and I think there's enough for everybody. So, you know, we bake to order.
You just,
Shall I bring them up here?
It's all I'm gonna do.
No, sweet, you sign down here.
You can just,
All right, I'm sorry.
no.
I thought you told me to bring them up.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Thank you
very much.
guys, thank you so much.
They had another box that didn't pass.
Oh, did you want one?
Anybody help yourselves? Okay, the next item is site plan review 21-0040, BMA Acquisitions LLC, contract vendee of TMAC Realty. Owner of tax map number section 320.20, block 18, lot 25, commonly known as 20 East Washington Street, seeking approval to convert this commercial office property into an apartment building with 8 residential units at this location. Pursuant to City Code Chapter 220, Section 220-17C, Subpart 11, this application requires planning board review of approval. And you are,
My name is Eric Carlson. I have a contract on 20 East Washington.
the contract and
Correct. As you know, 20 East Washington has been the home to McPhillips Insurance Agency for a very long time, 50 plus years, I think, or around 50 years. In 1970, I think, was the last major improvement that was done. An addition was put on, and in the back, a big concrete building was added to the back. The building and the site have remained mostly the same since then. The building is a two-story building, about 6,600 square feet on 2 floors, 3,300 square foot footprint. The lot is approximately 11,600 square feet. The property is zoned GC1, which allows commercial and multifamily uses. For multifamily use, however, GC1 also requires 2,500 square feet of lot space per dwelling unit. The zoning board last month gave me approval for 8 units, which would have exceeded the allowed by 3. It was just 3 point something, just a little over 3. I've included in my submission documents existing and a proposed sketch. I understand the site plan review is required due to the change of use. However, I'd like the board to consider that this is an existing building, an existing lot. The current use, and actually any other allowed commercial use, would likely allow 20 to 30 employees. In fact, historically, there's been as many as 35 employees on that site, and the cars and the walk-in customers, and even a drive-through window. So the site has been able to handle a lot of traffic, people. It had a larger impact than I'm proposing. What I'm proposing is 8 units. It would likely have 8 to 10, maybe 12 people at the most, and 8 to 10, maybe 12 cars at the most. The current zoning requires 12 parking spaces. The current lot actually has 12 parking spaces on it. I reconfigured them, as you can see in the existing and proposed drawings. But again, this is an existing use, an existing building. My impact would be far less than other allowed uses and far less than the historical uses, so I'm hoping that the board considers that it'd be very difficult to change some things, but I believe it's more than adequate for the use that we're proposing.
Is that it?
That's it.
Very good.
For now.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that care to comment on this application? Please step up to the microphone, state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Art Meldon. I own the property at 18 East Washington. My girlfriend and I do. We've been in the process of remodeling that property for a couple of years. Very happy to own another property in the city of Glens Falls. We're living just half a block from here. Mr. Carlson's going to purchase this building. I'm not opposed to it whatsoever. I believe that he'll do the right job as far as him and I working together on access, because they're going to share a driveway. So I don't know what the parameters are on that, what is allowed, what's not allowed. I haven't really seen any drawings or anything other than what was presented at the zoning board. And I think, like the way the city's going, with everybody working together, we're all headed in the right direction, and I hope that continues.
Good, thank you. Anyone else?
No, the only thing we have is someone asking people to speak in the microphone.
No.
If I may add, I did forget to offer that I am proposing to remove, excuse me, a driveway past the old drive-up window and replace it with some landscaping area that'll get closer to the required green space, and it'll reduce the pervious area for the drainage and actually improve the neighbor to the east as well. So Other than that, I believe everything else is, speaks for itself, it's adequate.
Very good. Proceed with our architectural consultant, Mr. Brown.
I noted that the board was given 2 sketch plans, one existing, one proposed. And given the city engineer's comment about stormwater concerns, whether or not the board should require a standard site plan review submission, which has checklists of items that have to be shown, etc. Putting apartments in this building, I expect will change windows, change doors, maybe exits, and that does affect the site plan to some degree. I raise that question of whether the board wishes to have a standard submission to review, and given the engineer's comment as well.
Is that it?
I would add that, if windows, if the exterior is going to be changed, windows, doors, whatever, that would come under architectural review, and that's not part of this application at this point.
I'm currently not expecting to make any changes to the site or the building except for repairs. There's some significant repairs. There's fascia falling off. The brick needs to be fixed, which may actually have some structural ramifications. But prepared to do that, except I expect to bring it back to where it is, or where closer to new. But I don't expect to move any windows, add any windows, change any windows at this point. If something comes up in the building department and the architectural that requires that I do something, then of course I understand.
Okay, good.
Thank you. The city engineer's comment is as follows. Site plan should include on-site infiltration of stormwater and reduction of impervious areas. Ensure that existing drainage is not connected to sanitary or combined sewer.
So my understanding, and a survey provided by, I think his name is O'Rourke, although I was unable to get a hold of him, indicates that those are 2 dry wells on the back of the property. So I do not believe they're connected to the city structure. In addition, I looked in the structure and there's no pipes. So I think that confirms that they're dry wells, best I can tell. So the infiltration is handled on site, stormwater infiltration.
Good. We'll begin with Mr. Green.
Well, I went over to the site, and the grass on the east side is a definite plus. And get rid of that, because the water now runs over into your neighbor's property there. When we're driving it, number 5 driveway, we have to be burned up or something.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, Chris. The number 5 driveway, you may have to put a berm there or something to keep the water from running into his lot. It looks like it's pretty good towards Cunningham's property. And I think you're gonna have to, when you grade that, you're gonna have to grade that so it doesn't run towards the property.
So I might have to tip the lip up on the one side, sure. I could shim up the
Right.
pavement, correct, okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
You plan on doing anything with the parking lot? I mean, cleaning it up, or it's full of weeds now?
Yeah, well, certainly, yes. And it'll have to be restriped and repaired to at least where I can get it, the weeds to stop growing, the cracks, and I don't know how much pavement repair, but my intention is to make this building look a whole lot better than it does right now, so, yes.
Take much to make it look better.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have one problem. On the other side, the parking, you've got over 10 spaces. So the parking requirements require anything over 10, it's a two-way driveway, you get it like 22 feet, and you get like 16 there now. So I don't know, is it gonna require variance then?
If you don't meet the parking requirements, then you can seek a variance on the parking, and historically, this board has granted some of the parking variances.
Correct.
Again, the only thing I would, plead with in any potential use that this property could have, it'd be impossible to get that lane width any larger, right? The buildings are 17 feet or 18 feet apart, so short of tearing this building down and starting over, which is not likely economically feasible, we're kind of stuck with the driveway the way it is.
It's up to the board, but, I just wanted to bring that up and make it known,
I might add that the survey shows a 9'6" clearance on the west side of the building and a 10-foot something clearance on the east side. That may be why both are paved, were paved, are paved.
Well, it is a shared driveway on the west side.
Okay,
It's deeded in there.
existing plan.
I asked the owner, it's deeded in, if it's a shared driveway.
Okay.
That's all I have, but typically, the site plan, we want dimensions on it.
Well, let me just interject there. I mean, you signed this acknowledgement to the completeness of this. And there's no way, if you looked at all of the guidelines and stuff, that you would submit this. Because it clearly states in there, north arrows, dimensions, property lines, all that stuff. So this is not what we are looking for, and that's the reason we issue those guidelines. And when you sign this, you're saying, oh yeah, I looked at it and I understand it, but I can't believe you didn't, so.
So sure, again, I sound like a broken record, but again, it's an existing building, an existing use.
But that doesn't matter to us.
I understand.
It could be that building over there. This board has to review what is given to us, the information given to us. We also want to look at it, but we rely on the drawings, especially when you're requesting a site plan approval, just the nature of that. So, anyway, so that goes along with what Mr. Green was alluding to.
And I know one other thing they didn't like was the dumpster location. And I believe, Chris, they have to have a fence around the dumpster too?
I can't hear it.
A fence around the dumpster? I'm sorry, this mask, a fence around the dumpster?
It's not required, it doesn't say anywhere.
Okay.
But you can ask for it.
Hmm?
You can ask for
Oh, right, okay. But I would like to see the site plan with dimensions and,
Yeah.
and what we usually require is a lighting, where the light's gonna be able to light, if you're adding anything or not. But the scale dimension of the building, the lot lines and everything, this goes on file, it's a document, that's a legal document, I would assume, dimensions should be there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way to tell by looking at this parking plan if you have adequate space for turning.
Right.
Anyway. That it?
That's all I have.
Mr. Hall?
So I agree with some of these comments. There was an attempt made, obviously there was an attempt made to get, there are some site statistics on here, which a lot of times we'll get a site plan that's a sketch similar to this, that doesn't even have that information. So there has been an attempt. I do agree that there is still some information lacking. My question that I have, and I know Art spoke to this as well, this is a shared driveway with his property as well, so I understand that. And the way that the traffic pattern used to work was it was pretty much a one-way in off from Washington Street past the drive-up window and then out to the back of the building, and the parking was out there, and then most of the traffic went out the other side. There's also a connection, correct me if I'm wrong, to May Street.
There is, I don't think it's an intended connection, but yes, they certainly can drive through there.
Well, are they the same property?
So,
According to the tax map, I believe that that property goes all the way through and connects on May.
so it is not the same property, although both pieces of property being purchased in this contract.
Okay. So, I mean, to me, that makes a little bit of difference, in that May is a one-way street, and access can still come in from May or go out to May on that back portion. And then as Art was saying, you know, you've got the shared driveway there, and obviously the number of trips that are being generated by your project is certainly going to be less than what it was when it was the insurance company. So I get that. You know, I think that it would be to our advantage, and as Ron alluded to, I mean, this becomes the document that Chris uses as enforcement. So, you know, for us to say, yes, this is good, but, you know, I think it needs to be a little more, for us to make an actual, you know, true determination, because there is a lot of stuff that's missing. I applaud you for taking out the one driveway. I think that's a great, you know, adding, you know, trying to make it more permeable than what it is now, I think is great. And it's nice to see the building being reused. My first question was the zoning, and you answered that right off. So, you know, going and getting the zoning variance first, because I had looked at this with somebody else as well for the same purpose, and that's what, you know, dissuaded them. So, you know, other than that, I think with a little bit of, you know, fine tuning on the site plan, we're getting there. This is a little bit lax.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms. Golden?
Dave covered it, no questions or comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, no comments either. I'd like to see a little bit more of a plan that looks like that there's a little checklist, it's pretty straightforward.
Right, again, you know, the danger of that is, you know, it's an existing site that may not meet, for instance, driveway widths or turning radiuses. It's not gonna meet no matter who uses the building for what purpose, so it might be a little challenging. It might even require maybe a preliminary sketch plan meeting with the planning board to see exactly
Well, that's kind of how
what we're gonna address, right? Because
yeah, that's kind of what we're doing right now, in my estimation.
Okay.
We're doing a sketch plan review, and we're kind of giving you some feedback saying, we think these things need to be addressed. And again, I don't think that it's an issue, and this board has in the past given that, you know, granted that, saying, look, we understand it's an existing site, it's got a shared driveway, we'll grant this, but in order for us to see that, we really need the information to fall back on.
fair enough.
Okay, so, what's the pleasure of the board?
I mean, I would prefer to table it based on getting an updated site plan, because, I mean, I think that I don't think that the complete application needs to be redone. We've got a fair amount of the information. I just think that a true and honest site plan utilizing, and I feel for you trying to get a hold of Bill Rourke, trust me. Bill's semi.
So he is in business, is what you're saying?
He's still in business.
Okay.
His office is down on Route 9 in Moreau. A lot of times the best way to get a hold of Bill is to knock in his door.
I tried that twice.
and because he is semi-retired, he's usually out in the field doing something. So it is a little tough to get a hold of Bill. But again, that would be the way to go about it, is to get the actual site plan or the actual survey plan, and from that create a true site plan.
All agree?
Yeah. Table it till we get some more.
Okay, you all right, Ben?
Good.
Okay, I'll make a motion, Glens Falls Planning Board table the application of Fairway. Site plan review 21-0040 being acquisition LLC, contract vendor to Team Bureau regarding 20 East Washington Street, pending the submission of a more detailed site plan. Is that understood?
Understood.
If you have any questions, you can get in touch with me or Mr. Andrews for any clarifications and whatnot. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Need a second, yes? Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. I'm gonna spread
Fair
out.
enough.
I'm gonna spread out like a teenager.
Okay, the next item is site plan review 21-0041, Patent Property Development LLC. Owner of tax map section 302.20, block 8, lot 5.2, commonly known as Union Street, is seeking approval for the construction of a 20-unit apartment complex. This location, pursuant to City Code, Chapter 220, Section 220-14B, subpart 1. This application for a planning board review and approval. And you are?
Chris Patton.
Very good. Before we begin our review, is there anything you care?
No, just the demand for apartments is crazy in the city of Glens Falls, as you guys all know. Trying to build a building on 1 Street was part of my plan, but I've learned quite a bit from that. It's a lot easier to work with the city than to fight things that they might not want to have. So this was a parcel that was actually directed to me by the city, working closely with Mr. Vanderzee and a few others, Mr. Flagg. It's been super helpful. And now I've made amends with the mayor, and we're all good. So this is where I ended up, and I'm really hoping to see this go forward. I've been to the zoning board and was granted a zoning variance for a use variance. Our original building, based on the letter that the city attorney had written, was a little bit larger because I actually reduced the size of the building. That required a variance, which was granted at the zoning meeting. The other thing that I want everybody to know is that this property, you probably all visited it, it's 100% covered with asphalt. So we are grandfathered in a letter also from the city attorney that grandfathers us from all site-related permeability. So we are improving on the permeability. We're going to be improving on the neighborhood. I've definitely addressed as many things as possible. Again, learning a lot from the last time. I've met with the fire chief, discussed things with him, with Mr. Vanderzee's help. I've met with the town water, talked about sewer. I've met with National Grid. I've got all my ducks in a row, and I'm hoping that you guys see this as a suitable project for this area.
Very good. Any members of the public that care to comment? If you would please step up to the microphone and state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Frida Tote. I live on 18 Goodwin, where I've lived for approximately 20 years. All right, so Goodwin Avenue has, depending on how you count it, either 15 or 17 buildings. It's got 17 if you count the households that also have a main street, which is to say Glen or Bay, but 15 just on Goodwin. Building an apartment of 20 units would double the households on a small and narrow street. That's double. And if the parking lot that Mr. Patton plans to build is full of 31 cars or whatever it is, that's going to triple the number of cars going down Goodwin, going home. So I would like you all, especially if you've got children or grandchildren, to think about what it would mean in your quality of life if your street suddenly had double the households, more than double the households, and triple the traffic. This is part, but not all of the reason that for the variance meeting, there were 5 households from Goodwin represented. 5 households, depending on how you do the math, is either a quarter or a third of the households on Goodwin. And that is a significant representation of opposition. That is significant. Mr. Patton said that the entrance to the building will be on Union. All right. If one looks at the plans, one can see that both Goodwin and Union are one-way streets. going in the opposite direction. And that means if you have to get to Union, you're going to go down Goodwin. There is absolutely no way for this project to not have a bad effect on our quality of life on Goodwin. But I also have a question, and I was concerned about saying it correctly. Part of, not all, of the reason the households on Goodwin are concerned is traffic. So we went to the mayor and we asked for a traffic study, which Diana Palmer has informed me was granted. So my question is a point of order. This being the planning board, how can you plan before the traffic study is done? How is that possible? How is that proper? Presentations, discussions, or consideration are improper at this point. The whole thing should be tabled until such time as the traffic study is completed. It would seem to me that failure to wait for the traffic study would probably be grounds for a preemptory judicial dismissal. This should be tabled until the traffic study, as Diana Palmer has told me is ordered by the mayor, is completed.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. All right, we'll proceed with our architectural consultant. Mr.
For the
Brown.
public, there's letters written in, are they gonna be entered?
Yes. Everyone was copied. I don't normally read them all.
No, that's fine.
This is, Chairman Brewer, members of the planning board, my name is Christina Z. I'm owner of 34 Glens Avenue, which is located immediately, I think you left out a word, immediately to Mr. Patton's proposed plan. Immediately next door, is that okay? I'm in favor of this project. It can only help out what is now an neglected niche in the area, and a back parking lot used for illicit drug and sexual activity, and placing an aesthetically designed building while controlling flow of traffic, with landscaping added. The small area of the city can be greatly improved, with potentially lifting the values of homes in the vicinity. Just the fact that the sidewalks would be shoveled and maintained would be a vast improvement. It is unfortunate the planning board allowed Cumberland Farms to operate 24/7 next to this property. Extracurricular activity in the parking lot has greatly contributed from late night activity at the convenience store. Listening hours would be another big step. Nothing good happens from 6 a.m. areas like that. Guards, Christine, Z. Okay. That said, we will proceed with our architecture. What's that? I just asked if there were any members of the public. I said, are there any members of the public that care to comment? So if you want to comment, come on up.
And two properties that I'm involved with this evening. I am the owner, my name is Art Belden. I own the property at 32 Goodwin Avenue, where the building that is proposed is going to be pretty much right in front of my house. I guess I haven't seen any drawings or anything. I have no idea really what's proposed for there other than like a 3-story, 20 apartment building. Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing for the neighborhood? Am I opposed? Am I against? Mr. Patton has done a really nice job on the building that he's done here. I look at someone's track record of what they've done in the past. Do I want him as a neighbor? In that case, sure. Fix up that derelict parking lot, clean it up. It's the letter that was written in, some of the stuff that goes on there, it's not a good thing. We'll have some lighting, maybe some new people in the neighborhood. Will it bring a bad element in the neighborhood? The way he runs his business properties as we've seen in the past? No, I don't believe so. Our biggest detriment to the neighborhood is the Cumberland Farm Store, being open 24 hours a day. It's the worst thing that ever happened to our neighborhood. But as for Mr. Patton's project, if he continues his track record, I'm not opposed.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Rosalie Carlson. I live on 18 Goodwin Avenue. So I really like that you're concerned about the drug activity and all the bad things that do go on at that part of the parking lot. However, more people means more issues. And you say you're going to have lights, but lights don't shine everywhere. And I strongly doubt that drug activity is going to cease by moving it 100 feet to the left. And so by adding so many more people and so many more households, which are singles, not families, or studio apartments, is that correct, Mr. Patton? What are the rooms you're planning on?
10 two-bedrooms, 10 one-bedrooms.
Thank you.
Luxury apartments.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Luxury apartments.
Thank you. So the 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom apartments, those are going to be college students, single people, which means that those aren't the families that will likely be doing not drugs. So I think that adding those apartments won't necessarily be a good thing for the neighborhood if you're just talking about getting rid of all the bad stuff there.
Very good, thank you. You're good? All right. Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Okay. We'll move on with our architecture consultant.
I can only comment on the site plan that I submitted. My primary concern was the number of gas and electric meters on each end of the building, north and south ends of the building. And my suggestion there is to put in a dense row of evergreens to conceal those from the public streets and the public in general. And other than that, there were some conflicting notes on the drawings. One drawing shows a water meter room or water room, and the site plan mentions a shelter over the water meters. There ought to be some clarity there.
The terminology is what you're talking about right now?
Well, are the meters in a room?
They are.
Oh, but the building elevations show water meters. Yeah, okay. So
They're in a
straight on that, they're in the room and.
Mr. Brown, water freezes during the winter, so they will be in a conditioned space.
Yeah, granted. That's the extent of my comments. The city engineer did have a comment.
Yep. The city engineer's comment is as follows: site plan should include on-site infiltration of some stormwater. Ensure the existing drainage is not connected to sanitary or combined sewer. Provide a sewer connection at the property line. The sewer connection to a manhole is preferred.
I've met with Tom Gerard. I'm told that Goodwin will be going through a major renovation as far as storm and sewer. I told him I had no problem either providing a temporary means and then for future connections. But again, as this lot's grandfathered in because of permeability, I don't want to say the engineer's incorrect, but we're improving on this area.
Okay. Okay. All right. We will,
To Mr. Brown's comment as well, if trees are what you're looking for, we've provided a basic sketch of what we thought. If you'd like us to relocate them to provide more of a block from those meters, not a problem. We can't get around them. And thinking of you and considering you mentioned that the last time, we actually split the meters so they are 50%.
Yeah.
One on each side.
I did notice that. The trees, however, will grow and will be open at the meter. So a 3 or 4 foot edge along the front of them will perform better.
Yeah, it doesn't. doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
That's already there.
Thank you. Ms. Andrews?
No, my only concern was, and I looked back at the chart, was the setback from the back, on Union, which is your front, and on Goodman. But, because it's angled, it looked as if it was short, but.
We should conform.
Yeah.
We weren't looking for any setback, and if we were, we'll make the building meet that,
Okay.
meet the required
It was just
parameters.
that, and then until I drove up there, I wondered if there was still enough parking for, the other apartment building.
Pretty
Because
good,
they
huh?
have numbers they have to accumulate too.
Yep.
And that parking lot's a wreck, so.
It is.
Probably any addition to that, any improvement that would help.
Yeah, Mr. Vandesee's letter talked about the city sidewalks, so I mean, I'm certainly, I'm on top of it on Glen Street. I'm sure everybody sees it here driving around. I'm the one out there salting every day and shoveling, so that, and I'm not gonna promise anything, but if we do tear up any sidewalks and it means going, you know, one or two further to make it better, you know, I don't want any hazards as well, so I'm trying to improve everything really there.
I don't recall, are the first floors on the one bedrooms on the first floor?
Yes.
And then the second floor is, how does that work?
So second floor would be the kitchen and living room, and then an interior set of stairs that leads up to bedroom, bathroom in the middle. We'll probably have a half bath on the second floor as well. So it'll be a really nice, luxurious style unit. It'll be, I don't want to speak on square footage, but it'll be pretty good size.
But it will be 3 stories, that's what.
That's correct,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Ms. Butler?
So I like the idea of putting some kind of natural barrier between, at the back, between, you know, in between Goodman and Union, so covering the UC condensers. And it will just, to me, it'll help with the neighbor behind you too, because there are some houses right there. How long, do we know anything about this traffic study?
First I heard of it, sounds like it was brought up to the mayor for public safety. Now, this board has not requested.
I've already met with the city people as well on that. I mean, that's why we proposed on Union Street only and not a thoroughfare, as to counteract any, you know, through traffic through Goodwin. And then contrary to what, I'm sorry for her name, but Union Street is two-way all the way until Harlem Street. So another great location. Goodwin will probably be least affected because you're able to pull out of my Union Street property, turn right, and then go out to Harlem right to downtown. Yeah, I can't say there's nobody gonna, you know, shoot up Goodwin, but the majority of people are gonna utilize Harlem Street and Union Street, and that's why we propose it on this side.
Harlem is like,
Oh, yeah.
It's all two-way, all the way to Harlem
so
Street.
Union Street is one way, it's 2 ways from here. And then 1 way. Oh, sorry. So Union,
I can show you here.
Union Street is 2-way. and
Two-way all the
Harlem
way
is
here, so these guys can turn out, take a right, and then take a left on Harlem, which is also two-way. So this whole thing has been considered. You know, obviously, we had it both ways. We want to make sure we minimize the Goodwin traffic.
It's a nice size picture.
Yeah, huge.
This one's tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basic, my main comments is like doing a natural barrier in the back. And that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that what I've done around the entire perimeter, and I didn't have to. You know, I built, because I want this area to be like super nice and differentiate itself from just a barren parking lot, which is currently there. You know, I built a little, you know, curved, you know, islands with trees and everything. I went all the way around the outside. I took asphalt out and replaced it with grass. So, and then also the fence that goes around the backside and on the left side near Goodwin, we're going to keep that. You know, so I mean,
Just like
privacy
natural,
standpoint.
like I mean like trees and like,
Sure, yeah,
you
yeah.
know, maybe arborvitae's or something like that, just to cover the back.
It's already like grown in, but yeah, I mean, certainly, I mean, I want privacy for my tenants, and I want privacy for the other owners that are behind me and to the side, so.
Good, thank you. Mr. Hall?
Just a couple of quick questions, Chris. I didn't see a dumpster.
Yeah, so right in the end there, the words line of paving limits,
Yep.
that's where we intend to place that
That-
dumpster.
that
Yep,
area is
just a
turn-
straight shot right
Turn
in.
around so that you're
Back right up.
community gravity. I
Yep.
didn't know if that was gonna be something that was internal to the building or if you. were
No,
doing it outside.
no.
Okay, so, and the other question I had was, and Chris, maybe you can answer this, was, did we get any comment back from the fire department? I mean, I know that they've requested us to give them copies of everything. I thought it was for this kind of thing.
No, there was no concern, we thought it was a four-story building.
Yep.
Access to the back, and three-story, as you know, changed it.
Yep.
Everything, so they're good with.
Changes
They're
that,
good
so.
with being able to get the trucks in and out.
He's got access all the way around because of the streets.
Right, yeah, they won't pull the truck into that parking lot to fight a fire. It'll be fought from the road if there's a fire, and because it's a three-story building, I'm assuming it's a sprinkler building.
That'll be decided with our engineer, for sure.
Yeah. That size residential, and
Probably pretty close.
pretty sure. It was good to see a lighting plan on there. This is the first I've heard of a traffic study. I haven't seen anything from any of the meeting minutes regarding that. That's nothing that you were asked to provide, correct? At the zoning board or at any level. I do tend to agree that the amount of traffic that's on Goodwin Avenue, because there's no access to this lot from Goodwin, and having lived in this city for 35 years, I don't think that if I was coming to this building, I would take Goodwin in any way, shape, or form to get there.
No.
I would either come in off of Bay Road and come down Union, or continue up to the next little cross street and come back in on Harlem. I actually lived on Harlem Street when I first moved here.
It's nice lit street now, it's sharp. I hope this improves it.
And they've done a fair amount of improvements with the weight house and
Yep.
all of the things, the lighting and everything that's been done there, because when Glen Street Associates purchased the old school building, this was green at one time and was completely paved over for additional parking for the tower. And that's when they rebuilt most of Harlem, added all the nice street lights and all those things, because the people who were working at the city, when it was CNA and it was, that parking lot was full, this was before they built the parking garage.
Gotcha.
This was parking for that building, and they walked back and forth through there, so that's when all that got redone. I remember when that came through and was talked about, so, again, I don't think that 12 apartments are gonna exacerbate the amount of trips that are generated based on what this parking lot formerly was used for. And it used to be open from Goodwin and from Union.
As a thoroughfare. And right now, it's a thoroughfare,
Right now,
honestly.
it
You can turn,
continues.
you can turn right in where my curb cut shows, and then you can, just zip right across. I mean, this is why I put that's why I put that curb, to stop that.
Right.
If you pull into my parking lot, you're not going out on Goodwin unless you come back out and go around the block, which is silly. I mean, I've addressed that.
No, I tend to agree. I think that portion of it has been looked at. The lighting plan, I mean, this is more along the lines of the site plans that we're used to seeing, and I do appreciate the fact that we've gotten a fair amount of information here, but those were the couple of questions that I had. So, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions for Chris. Snow plowing?
Yeah, so that's the green area, so the grass there will be utilized for snow, and I'll come right down.
Was it paved or?
Excuse me?
Was it paved over here?
Yeah, so this is grassy right here.
Okay.
So yeah, so this also will be a lay down area for snow here, and then also
That means too bad.
exactly, yep.
And the fire department reviewed this?
Yes, yep.
I know one thing they wanted to see in the site plan, and I know that you said Jamie's reviewed it, right? So your fire department connection, there's something's gonna go over there.
If we are required to do sprinkler, we'll definitely have a fire department connection that meets their criteria.
Okay.
Is that it? Because I just had one or two questions. I noticed on the site plan along the west side here, you have noted open area for drainage in several
Yep.
spots. So is this property that's draining onto, that's your property?
No, this was, because it's existing, this is what was grandfathered in. and discussed with the city attorney.
Mr. Green,
I understand the lot coverage was granted by.
Also, this, I got the letter right here for you. Both of them were addressed in the same letter. It should have been part of my submission, but it wasn't.
Lot coverage and stormwater runoff were both addressed in the attorney's letter.
Okay.
Agreement, and
So
that
they're okay, it's okay with them shedding water into somebody else's property?
and that's where the lot coverage came up in that same letter.
All right, the only other thing is the dumpster on the
North end, in the center there.
okay, that, you should enclose it on three sides,
It can.
so that people over here don't have to look at it.
Just tough with snow, you know, getting out and getting around it. I like to clean out my dumpster, you know, around the back side of it. So, I mean, I could do trees if that's easier.
I think this typically
Fence it?
put up a chain link fence and slats, so that, you know,
I'll put a wood fence, if that's what you want.
doesn't matter, to me, but it should be screened.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And that was it as far as that.
Do you want to make that as a note? We want to make that as a note?
Yeah, as a condition.
Okay, as a condition, that's what I meant saying, thank you.
I don't want you to think that we turn a blind eye toward your concerns regarding traffic and such. But, as Mr. Hall has, again, quickly explained, that's, I wasn't aware of a request for traffic study. I'm not, quite frankly, I'm not sure that it's necessarily warranted. There's going to be intermittent traffic here. I think it's well controlled. I like the idea that there's no thoroughfare created here, and that you're entering and exiting from
Two-way
Union
street.
And as you stated, Union Street from your entrance exit is two-way, either going to the east or to the west on the Harlem Street, and then out to Washington, Glen, what have you. So, again, I personally don't see this as being a big problem, especially in light of what it was previously, both as parking lot for the insurance company at one point before they had constructed their parking garage. And additionally, when this was a junior high school, there was a lot of traffic at certain times of day. So it's consideration. It is more for the Board of Public Safety to consider than this board. We don't generally, we may look at a traffic study, but any implications resulting from that are directed again for the Board of Public Safety. They're the ones who have control over the traffic control, where they change the street to one direction or install street lights or stop signs, that sort of thing, to try to control either speeding or just the volume of traffic, simply. So if that comes about, that should be directed to the Board of Public Safety. Regarding illicit activity, again, that's an enforcement issue. I wouldn't go so far as to say that these apartments as proposed are going to be inhabited by the type of people that you consider problematic with respect to sex, drugs, whatever else. So we did hear you, but I don't know that it's considered by this board to be a major impediment to this project.
I brought up another point at the zoning board. A couple of these people were there as well. And we've utilized our cameras several times with the police force downtown. I've learned that I would be installing several more cameras. It's kind of nice to be, to be able to help out whenever there is a problem of any sort. No trespassing signs on this property unless you're a tenant. I mean, it's all going to stop traffic flow and people hanging out with the lamps and lights. And so, I mean,
And you say you are intending to install a few cameras?
Tons of cameras, yeah. All exterior and in my common areas. I mean, it's been a huge help. Just having a camera and letting people know about it stops 95% of the people.
I
'Cause-
would imagine it helps with insurance.
all of it, yeah. If I may comment on one more thing, if I can help in any way with any of the residents to assist in, I don't know what your feelings are, but assist in getting the hours of the Cumberland Farms reduced, I'll stand with them all and help to try to do that, because I don't live there, but I can't imagine that having it open till whatever time, 4 a.m. is very helpful in regards to crime, so.
Well, my caveat there is that underwent a very thorough review. They came back at least 3 times, maybe 4 times to the planning board, and never once did it come up that people objected to the hours of operation.
24 hours a day.
We certainly consider that heavily in many of the other applications that come before the board. So
Sure.
that's, again, not turning a blind eye to it. When we reviewed that project, no one was concerned, so. But
Understood.
that's not to say that you can't change
Yeah,
it.
that's a police enforcement issue, that's not for us to.
Right, no, hey, understood,
No, but I mean.
I feel the same way as a lot of the other people, that I'm sure living there, and if it brings problems, I mean, you can't really correlate that 100%, but I would stand on their side.
It's not for the city, and we might entertain reducing those hours. But it was,
For another day.
Okay. The speaker. All right, we'll proceed with part 3. Two, sorry. Impact assessment. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of land, use of land? Small.
That's a small impact.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No, I think it's a small impact, again, it's
Small impact.
reuse of existing space.
Will the proposed action have an impact on environmental characteristics of possible establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway?
I think we discussed that, and I don't think that this is going to generate that much traffic.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonable available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies,
No.
public-private wastewater treatment utilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora and fauna? Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No. It's actually.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health?
No.
Okay, that's, I'd like to make a motion that Glens Falls Planning Board hereby accept the lead agency status for Patent Property Development LLC, owner of property located at Union Street. The board is determining the action to be has reviewed the short form environmental assessment form and upon documentation and discussion, issued a negative declaration. Second. Opposed, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Make a motion, Glens Falls Planning Board acting as the board of site plan review hereby grant site plan approval for the project identified as Patent Property Development LLC located at Union Street. As presented at the meeting of 7 September 2021 with the following conditions. One, that the enclosure be provided for the dumpster, trash dumpster.
Natural, like some kind of natural, like trees or arborvitaes or anything behind the property. Like covering the, I lost it.
So there's trees already that are woven
No.
throughout the fence.
Yeah,
So which are you
no,
talking about?
I'm just, there's like, on my way here, because I do go down to Glens, where I live, I go down to Glens to get here to avoid downtown traffic. And there was a house that was like, I could see the whole house. Do you know what I
Are you
mean?
talking about on Union side or Goodwin side?
On Bay.
Backyard.
So like the back, behind where like all.
So how about some like natural, or some of the, what did you call those things in between the fence there?
Slats.
Yeah, slats. I could put slats in between the fence because that fence is 8 feet tall and I don't intend to remove it. But that would give a beautiful privacy buffer, better than any tree. The only reason why I'm even opposed to that, excuse me, is because we have a very small backyard. So putting a tree there limits the amount of space
Well,
that
I
tenants
mean
would
like
have.
arborvitaes, not necessarily trees, but like arborvitaes, they provide cover and they provide some sound barrier, because if you have the AC units back there, that can get noisy.
Yeah, I mean, we've shown trees all the way around the outside of the entire property that we didn't have to show. Now you want us to do all the way in the back as well?
Just,
Was that not something that we discussed earlier?
yeah,
she did.
yeah, we did.
The only thing wrong with it, how much space have you got? How much space do you have between the convention unit and the
We
fence?
have a decent amount of space there, but when we put the fences up that are gonna provide like a nice little privacy buffer, for each tenant.
No, I mean on the back of the building with condensing units.
Oh, they're right on the building, 16 inches off, so we have tons of space there.
Yeah, that's where I'm talking about. So like, you know, arborvitaes don't get. they get
Yeah, I
bigger
mean,
than that.
so you wanna say where the fencing doesn't have natural, already pre-existing
Yeah,
natural?
can I see the smaller version?
Sure.
The bigger version is too much. So back,
This whole
yeah.
area is pretty well treated, right? So
Right.
this area right here is not, and there's a little bit of exposed here. We're gonna have fences here and here to prevent anybody from traversing back behind our property.
Right,
And
but what I mean is like protect, so the neighbors that are here, right? Having arborvitaes along here, it provides privacy and it provides like a sound barrier for the condensing.
So this parking lot that you're trying to, that's a parking lot, I know the one.
That's a parking lot there, but there are houses here.
Okay, which is all wood.
Not all of it, like there was one, on my way here, I saw one house where it was like, I saw the whole, almost the whole house.
So you think slats wouldn't provide that?
It's more, I'm
8
including
foot
not
tall.
just, yeah, I'm not saying even for privacy, it's also for the, noise,
Oh, sound would be prevented by the slats as well,
but not as much as arborvitae.
and assuming that they grow.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Then I have to maintain them,
you don't think so?
No.
And not provided, I mean, I provided what,
On my
70 trees?
parking lot there at the office, it doesn't cut the sound down at all.
No?
Not-
Okay.
not a
Plus, if
bit.
they don't grow, then I have to maintain them, then you're not gonna have any sun, because you have a 3-story building plus trees in the back, they're not gonna grow.
A solid barrier of 20 foot or something greater than it is.
Yeah, I think
Plus it would be
I think
8
the
foot tall.
slats, I think that the slats inside the chain link is a better solution. It gives you a more solid barrier.
And they'll be there in the winter.
It's more of a visual barrier, and it also is gonna cut down on, you know, anything blowing through there.
Agreed.
That's the biggest.
Not to mention the
I want
trees
those-
will not
I
grow.
want those neighbors to have some
Yeah, I hear you.
Yep.
division and privacy and some sound.
You're okay with the?
I'm okay with the slats, yeah, I think it's a great idea.
They'll help your privacy from.
Yeah, no, I wanted to do that. That was part of the reason why I didn't want to take down this 8 foot fence, even though that would be my right to do so, but I want to leave it the way it is because it's so intergrown and it provides a natural buffer, most of it. So I was even considering coming up Goodwin, but I'm not going to say that now. If it's something that I'd like to do, then I may consider that as well, even more privacy.
Okay, so, and slats to that existing fence.
Yeah, wherever we can do so. There's quite a bit of like, you know, grown in, so wherever we can slide them in to provide a buffer, no problem.
And then, Mr. Brown's point was,
Tighten that up.
small hedge, to conceal the gas and electric meters.
Not a problem.
I think that was it.
Yes,
Any second?
I'll second.
All in favor? All right.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good luck.
See, for architectural, I'll show those things on the architectural drawings as well, the dumpster, and I'll address your comments as well as yours.
Very good. Thank you.
You guys are doing good well tonight.
Okay. Art. Oh, I was gonna say, Art, take two. Take two.
I'm good if you want to start.
Okay. All right. Moving right along. The next item is site plan review 21-0035, Michael Hugh.
Yes.
I hate this pronunciation of his name. Very sensitive. Owner of tax map, section 303.17, lot 24, lot 6, commonly known as 135 Warren Street, seeking approval to convert the existing commercial office building into a mixed-use building with 6 residential apartments and 2 ground floor office spaces at this location. Pursuant to City Code, Chapter 220, Section 220-15D, subpart 2, this application requires the planning board review and approval. Additionally, we're going to combine this with architectural review 21-0036. Same owner, same property, same seeking to convert this existing commercial office to mixed-use building. Pursuant to City Code, Chapter 220, Section 220-15E, subpart 2, this application for the planning board review and approval. And the gentleman would care to state your name and relationship to the project. We appreciate
Good evening. For your records, my name is Ethan Hall. I'm principal with Rosinski Hall Architecture. With me tonight is Michael Pugh, owner of the property. The property is 135 Orange Street. It was formerly the Planned Parenthood building. It was used as medical offices. It's the intent to create apartments within the building and 2 office spaces. The zoning allows for a maximum of 6 apartments, which is what we have it set up for. You will notice that the 2 office areas are on the main floor. There are small office areas that Michael's looked at putting them together that way. There's no fundamental change to the site plan, with the exception of taking out the curb cut on the west end of the building. Currently, there are 2 curb cuts there. It has a small pull-in in front of the building, which is really kind of useless. So we're going to take that one out and put in some green space there, which currently does not exist. So we're making the permeability of the site come up, and then utilize the main entry and exit to the back of the parking lot. The parking spaces that are shown there are current. That's how it's used now, and we meet the parking requirements for what we've got there.
Very good. Are there any members of the public that care to comment on this application? Okay. Thank you. We will start with our architectural consultant, Mr. Brown.
I have no concerns regarding the submission, no questions or comments about it. And this is just site plan review.
Actually, we're
Site plan and architecture.
Okay,
We'll hold
okay.
them together.
What do you announce that was?
In the interest of the speed,
Yeah.
you know.
And I totally agree. But yes, I have no comments on the submission, and I've got the existing windows on the west wall have been upgraded so that the neighbor has a better view, so to speak. And also the city engineer had a comment, I believe, on the site plan.
Yep, we'll get to it. So you're all set? Very good. The city engineer's comments are as follows. Regarding architectural, we have no comments. Regarding site plans, the site plan should include on-site infiltration of some storm.
To address that issue, we have taken up some of the parking that was up front, so we've added some green space there. The parking lot in the back does drain towards the wood storage, pulp storage area down at Prine's. And there's a fair amount of grass buffer between there and the actual, where the wood is stored down back. So anything that runs off from this is infiltrated into the grass area that's around the edge of the parking before it gets a chance to come off the site.
Very good. All right. We will proceed with planning board review, starting with Mr. Green.
I think it's a good project, I don't see any concerns. Again, you got a narrow driveway, but it was used for years like that, so.
It is, we acknowledge that, it's a 16-foot wide driveway. There is enough room for 2 cars to pass. It's not a major thoroughfare. The only people that would be coming there are the tenants and anybody who would be working in there. Correct.
Thank you. Ms. Cully.
My only question, and this is more about, again, privacy, but so the office space, will there be more soundproofing between the office space and the apartments?
Yeah, we have to meet an STC rating 56 anyway, between the two. So those walls, all the interior walls are going to be insulated against sound transmission. We have to do that between the apartments as part of code anyway. And ultimately, they're such small offices that I don't see them being, I see this being, it could possibly be the office for the staff. It could be one of them, and the other one may be just some kind of a small rental.
Yeah,
Again, we're limited to 6,
right.
and by zone, in order for us to, because there's not a huge demand for office space. In fact, there's very little demand, and a lot of people who have office space, I mean, we've got a 10-story building that's almost vacant next door. You know, if at some point down the road, this office space becomes, you know, they're full up with 6 apartments and they got 2 office spaces that they can't rent, they may come back at that point and seek a use variance to convert those 2 offices into apartments. So,
That was it, I just was just curious.
Thank you. Ms. Andrews?
Yeah, my only concern was the interior walls too. That was,
This is not really part of the planning board.
No.
no,
But
but,
that's
but,
I know the building, that's why I was
Just out of
wondering.
curiosity.
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of the interior partitions that are going to stay. The load-bearing partitions obviously are gonna stay. The ones that are non-load-bearing are gonna get moved around. Some of them are gonna get new openings, as Dan said. We're adding windows to the west side of the building. Those are for light, vent, and egress from the apartment itself, so we have to do that to meet code. And it does dress up that side of the building, which is basically a blank brick wall that faces the Crum House, which is, it's the Woodlands office for Finch and Bryan, so, or Finch Paper. Yes.
Too bad. But anyway, so, is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you. So, site plan is good, architecturally minimal changes, the windows, any painting on the exterior?
Any of the deteriorated?
We actually have painted it. I mean, what I did was color match the red that was painted on the brick.
Yeah.
Took it right up, had them scan it, and then up in the gables, which was wood,
Yeah.
I had them scan this. It was actually pretty nice. It was really nice, like a light green, greenish gray. I had them color match that, so they are identical.
Okay, nice.
It looks sharp.
Yeah, well, we cleaned up the foliage there too, so it was kind of overgrown.
And you're improving the, decreasing the impervious area.
Yes, well, we're adding the green space that's right up in the front of the building, because right now it's pavement,
Yeah.
and I really didn't like that flow where, I had 2 curb cuts, and I felt like that was gonna cause a problem, and I said to Heath, and I said, you know what? I'd love to see that nice and green and put some nice flowers and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, but whatever the supply houses have, we'll put that in there.
Okay, very good. Our attorney is informed this, seeker is type 2, is rehab, so no review, seeker review is required. Okay, no comments. That said, motion. I'm gonna combine this, I'll make a motion that Glens Falls Planning Board acts as the Board of Architectural and Site Plan Review, hereby grants architectural and site plan approval for the project identified as Michael Pugh, located at 135 Warren Street, as presented at the meeting of 7 September 2021. I believe there were any other conditions, etc. Okay. Second, all in favor?
All right.
Good luck.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Peter, have a motion for you? Mike? Who wants the tree?
Who owns the tree?
Not
I
that.
think it's a meter. Meter between next week.
Help yourself to some pastries on your way out.
Okay.
Next item
Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you.
is, we're gonna combine these as well. I don't think we need them separately. Site plan review 21-0037, Christine Van Vallis Haley, owner of tax map number section 309.11, lot 5, lot 42, commonly known as 194 Broad Street, seeking approval to add covered and open outside dining areas, as well as additional enclosed cold storage space at this location. Pursuant to City Code Chapter 220, Section 220-17C, subpart 19, this application requires planning board review and approval. Before we proceed any further, I just want to advise the applicant and their representative, somewhat of an oversight. This, because of this project's, this application's proximity to the boundary line of an adjacent municipality, i.e. Greensbury, this has to be referred to them, and we can't take any action until we get their determination. That and, the council.
They county. And for Queensberry, no action.
What? Yeah, go.
I was gonna say with the Queensberry, you just have to give them notice, but if they don't send anything in
Right.
response, you don't have to wait for them to respond. That's a 10-day period to the adjacent municipality, and then the planning board to the county is 30 days, but usually they respond.
How close is it? I guess I'm confused because I didn't think that it would be close
Yeah,
enough.
Within 500 feet.
Oh, okay.
It's like 450 or something.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was just confused.
The stewards go on the same,
Here's the Walmart.
the stewards go on the same.
Okay, which one?
Stewards go on
Stewards?
Stewards, is that the one?
They're pushing the house.
There you go.
But we will, the planning board will review this site plan and architectural, give you our opinion. We can't approve it, but
Understood.
we'll let you know. I don't know.
Understood. We'll take that
Okay.
as it is.
So, moving along, architectural review 21-0038, same owner, same intent, same location, pursuant. City Code Chapter 220, Section 220-17D, this application, where the planning board review approval. So, you are,
Good evening again for your records. My name is Ethan Hall. I'm a principal with Brzezinski Hall Architecture. With me tonight is Christine Van Vallis Haley, the owner of the property. The property is Steve's Place. It is the restaurant that's over there. Since the start of the COVID shutdown stuff, Christine has been utilizing the outdoor space at the front of the parking lot as outdoor seating. When it was completely outdoor, it was all that was allowed. And now that it's both indoor and outdoor, they've realized that, hey, this isn't really a terrible idea to have some outdoor seating. And also the main entry vestibule getting into the space is rather tight. If many of you have been there, it's rather tight getting in, and handicap accessibility is kind of an issue. So we're addressing both of those issues on both sides of the building, actually. The west side of the building, look at the elevations real quick. So with the floor plan to the building, the west side of the building is on the bottom of the page. We've enlarged the entry vestibule. The door that is on the kind of the west side or the north side, I'll say, is really there and will remain. The door that's on the south side excuse me, of that is going to be one of those fast-acting biparting doors. So that's an automatic door. It works great for her staff to be able to get in and out through there. It makes the opening for the vestibule much more adaptable. It's much bigger, easier to get in and out of. The covered seating area is on the bottom down here, and then the seating area on the top, part of it is covered and part of it is open. So it gives her some options as to how to do things. We've kind of modeled the top portion of it after what was done at Cooper's Cave. So they've got some ability to enclose it with some drop downs or something like that. They can put some the overhead infrareds in if they wanted to do that, to utilize it for probably not year round, but at least 3 seasons, early spring, late fall, can utilize it in that manner as well. We've got some separation planters that would be to separate the space from the parking area so that there's not a visual portion there. It gives it more of like an Adirondack type feel. It's kind of in keeping with the character. We have it indicated with a pitched roof and some beam work, so that it kind of has that feel looking at it from the west side of the property. We've kept the peaked roofs and kept it enclosed, so it's a nice appeal. We've used some cultured stone on the bottom, which is there now. We kind of matched that as it came around the building and put it in where the piers, where the columns will be, and kind of match that with that Adirondack feel. As far as the site itself goes, all we did was the opening. Oh, yeah. So the existing opening along the front is there's some parking spaces here along the building, and then the rest of the parking spaces are along the western property line. So there's a huge amount of paving that's in there that's really just in and out traffic. It doesn't really do anything. So as we pull that west face of the building out, we've also pulled out those parking spaces, and there are currently some accessible parking spaces there. We're going to make those pull them out and utilize that as the in and out for people walking from the other side of the parking lot. It doesn't throat the parking lot down significantly, and I think it works. We stay within the curb cut. None of our parking actually exceeds into the curb cut, which is a fairly wide curb cut in that space. And then, as Christine pointed out, on this back corner will be some additional cold storage and storage for them for the use of the restaurant. We've got an overhead door that will be on the back side of the building so that they can get stuff in and out of there as well.
Very good. Any members of the public, if you're a comment? Yeah. Okay. All right. We will proceed with our architectural consultant, Mr. Brown.
I've got no comments, just a question. What happens, if anything, to these planters from one season to another?
Yeah. I mean, the intent, Dan, is that they're going to be planted with kind of year-round material. They'll have some evergreens in them. There'll probably be some seasonal plantings that go in there, some annuals that'll be in there as well, maybe some vine, some ivy type that flows in and out. As far as will they be removed, in the wintertime, it's not the intent to move them. They won't be like on wheels or anything. They'll be on solid bases. They won't necessarily be attached, because we do want to be able to move to clean around them and things like that. So, but they'll be just be able to be moved if they need to be for snow plowing, things like that. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Very good. city engineer's comments, architecturally and one comment, site plan, so the site plan should include on-site infiltrating stormwater and reduction of impervious area.
Yeah, so as far as the stormwater for this goes, currently it's a completely paved lot for the most part. Obviously, there's a huge amount back here that's not paved, but it's also not developed. There's nothing back there. There are some catch basins and dry wells within the property itself. Nothing actually runs off from this site. The new areas that we're doing will have roofs over them, but because they go in, people have to go in and out under those eaves, it'll probably be guttered and downspouted to an area where it'll be picked up by the dry wells.
Very good. Okay, let's see. We'll start with Mr. Green.
Take the mask off, so no, I think it's a great project, the business has been there forever, and this is a great improvement, and the outdoor dining is fantastic, you're seeing it all over downtown, and, you know, I think
Well, we've had a problem with tents, the wind, the rain.
Yeah, well,
So I've replaced the tents probably 3 times. Just damaged.
no, I'm all
So
for
we
it.
just wanted a permanent structure. So.
Fantastic project.
No questions, I think it's a great project, and I look forward to seeing what it turns out to be.
Okay.
I have 2 concerns, just observations. There's some manhole covers.
Yes, that's the grease trap. That's the grease trap from the kitchen
Okay.
going out to the city sewer.
Okay.
So those have to be maintained, and so that's the area where that's going to be. And we're going to put those manhole covers will be in the actual patio space.
In a flooring of some kind.
It's going to be stamped concrete.
Oh.
Actually, is what we're talking about utilizing. Yeah,
Okay.
for that whole area and the area out front. Christine came to my office and liked my walkway to the office, which is all stamped concrete. So she's like, that's what we need to have. That's what we need to have in our area.
And the only other thing was an observation about the setback from the sidewalk.
On this-
It's pretty narrow on that back section, but
Yeah.
there's not much you can do about it. It's just, I don't know if is there an entrance at that?
It's an exit because there is an exit from the building. So there is an exit here from the building existing. There's also an exit back here from the building. So in order to maintain those, and those are exits from the dining area and from the kitchen area itself. So this will be the serving area for people to come out to here, and this is an actual entrance and exits from there. So there won't necessarily be an access from the sidewalk into this space, because it will be hard for her to control it with people just walking in. But there will be, the intent is there will be a gate up on this end for exit, so that people can go out that way. And it'll probably be signed that says, please use the main entrance to be seated.
It's an extra.
It's an exit only, yeah.
It's an extra exit though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yep.
Thank you.
I have no additional comments, I like it. Great place. Nice to see it improving, remaining city. Seeker-wise, attorney informs me that it's less than 4,000 square foot expansion of non-residential structure, therefore no review is required regarding seeker. That said, I'll make a motion that Glens Falls Planning Board, after the board of architectural and site plan review, hereby grants architectural and site plan approval for the project identified as Christine Van Vallis Haley, owner of, located at 194 Broad Street, as presented at the meeting on 7 September. Go ahead.
We'll have, can you make that conditional? Can we make that a conditional approval, conditional upon
technically, no.
Okay.
We've done it before, it's really the risk more to the applicant.
Yep.
As far as law enforcement procedure and
So,
also the
I
challenge.
guess we have to, but
Properly.
for all intents and
Okay.
purposes, it's approved.
And
We just have to go through, now, I don't.
the formality of coming
I
back.
doubt that either the county or Queensbury is gonna have anything to say about it.
Right.
I've already mentioned it to Mr. Curtis, that they sent a notice out, so, yeah,
Okay.
follow up with them.
And at the next planning board meeting, we could
We'll just formalize it.
formalize it.
Is Bob Curtis already sending it out, or?
He's gonna send the notice to Queensberry, and then if your office could send, give an electronic copy that we can send over to the county.
Okay.
Apologize for the, that move. So,
No,
I think the building might be more than, really when it's close, when you go to the property line, it's over.
okay, I'll make a motion that, all planning board tables.
So it'll be,
So, planning board table, site plan review, 21-0037, and architecture review, 21-0038, Staley, coming for Broad Street, pending, comments from Town of Queensbury for Warren County variance site plan.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Good.
Again, my apologies, but,
I know.
for what it's worth,
I was hoping we could get this thing going so I could get some use out of it. You know, going into like this COVID time, you know, October, November, whatever.
If we get anything from the county back before.
before then, we'll be able to respond to. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
It's already covered, no? I checked. Trust me, I checked.
I was the only one.
All right. Yes. No one has anything else, Attorney Fitzgerald and I are continuing to review proposed update modification revisions, however, chapter 220, I will be concluding that not for this future. Other than that, anyone have anything?
Where do you stand with that? Did you have any?
No, I was talking to Mark there, the guy that's here tonight. You know, his last name is, but the guy who owns property on Washington Street, Goodwood Avenue.
Art?
Art Bellar.
I'm sorry, Art.
Yeah, he's, yeah.
But anyway, he brought up the other day about the Airbnbs, you know, where they're having problems with, I know, they've written a chronicle someplace where a guy bought some properties in Glens Falls in the city, and they're doing Airbnbs now, and there's nothing in the code that I know of about those, right? So I don't know if it's something we want to think about as we start looking at for the future.
Yeah.
Airbnbs are being looked hard right now. We are, it's in the building and code committee.
It is.
The county.
Yeah, I know Lake George is too.
The problem is, we have quote execute with people, and Airbnbs attract certain, well, I don't know, they attract a lot of different people, and that's where some of the problems arise, because if you're here temporarily, you're not as respectful of your neighbors as you would be if you that's where you look at
With the county taking on Radicus, the new program, that should help also. For tracking.
So,
Well, with that being said,
I have one more item I'd just like to bring up. Curb cuts and driveways, aprons. I've actually spoke to DPW about this, and actually they prefer a blacktop apron because it is better on their plow trucks than hitting a concrete apron. It is much better for the city to have blacktop aprons.
yeah.
You know why they're doing that, it's over in Big Seven.
Right.
You see the pavement there?
Yep.
All over the place.
There's paved and
Over and
the
over.
sidewalk stops and it's blacktop going into the blacktop.
Well, a lot of it, they've got those rollover curves now. I mean, everything in front of Wakeman's is a rollover curve.
Funny how that happened.
Yeah, it's amazing. A rollover, there's no curve, it's just it's concrete, it's raised, and it's got the stamped asphalt in the middle of it with like the brick pattern in it. If you drive down there, I mean, it's all paved, they paved it today.
okay.
The only other thing that I had, I'm assuming that this is the notice for Western, for the roads?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Fitzgerald, I haven't read through how this is, but my question, I guess, to you is, how is the rezoning of one single parcel to a different zoning thing not spot zoning?
That would be something that the city attorney can take under advisement.
Okay.
Advisement in the town council.
Yep. I mean, because what we went through in our last meeting, and going through the entire list of, we went through a great deal of that, going through the entire list of things that could be put there. And my feeling is the recommendation that we proposed before stays the same. I don't see how changing one very small portion of that property to general commercial one makes any sense. I mean, I think that's truly spot on.
Yeah, that's for a drugstore anyway. You got Hanford,
There's
there's Walgreens, you
four
got
of them.
CVS.
There's four of them right
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
I don't know that
Is
it's
that
necessary to have it there. I would think a use variance is,
I agree.
that's just my feeling.
Okay,